like to take a moment and thank our sponsor. If you have a laser device for training and you want to take it to the next level, or if you're looking to get into using a laser device for training, check out the products at laserapp.com, LASRAPP.com. You can use code CSP2021 for 15% off the items you've selected. And thanks for checking them out. Welcome to this week's edition of the Casual Shooters Podcast. This week you have me, Dave. You have Leo.
Hello.
And you have Chris.
Hey.
It's a full house today. Now, this week we have a guest. This guest actually reached out to us, which I'm glad he did. He was top 10 at Low Cap Nationals back in the spring. Let's go ahead and bring in Mike Shatalov. Hi, Mike.
Perfect. What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. Thanks for reaching out. We appreciate it. Yeah. So why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself?
All right. You actually said my name exactly as I was expected. Michael Shatalov. Well, I was actually born and raised in the Soviet Union. You might tell by my accent and by my last name. Came here when I was 18. I joined the military at 21. Served in the 82nd Airborne Division for a few years. Jumped out of perfectly good airplanes. And people say, why would you want to jump out of perfectly good airplanes? I said, you haven't seen our planes, man. You want to get out of So I one of my, memorable experiences from those days was this joint exercise when, the paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne, first of the 504th in 97, the former Russian paratroopers came to Fort Bragg to train with us. We trained them and then jumped over back into the Soviet Union, 20-hour flight. I think it was like 2 or 3 in-flight refuelings. And, because I was the highest rated interpreter in the military at that point, probably, I was stationed with the 307 engineers right there on Fort Bragg, and I got assigned to the commanding general staff to translate for the 3-star Marine general and his sergeant major. So
wow.
as the leaders usually do, they get out of the airplane first. So all these, we flew with them, and I was the third one out, but I was, a fairly large guy and so heavier. So I was the first guy to land on the former Soviet Union soil. Here I am, a Russian, an American paratrooper in the Soviet Union, standing in this giant cornfield in Kazakhstan. That was
wow.
One of the, most memorable experiences. So
like reverse Red Dawn.
exactly.
I'm back, baby.
Exactly. And listen, we train with a lot of these guys. Some the Russian paratroopers came over, and these guys are, oh my God, these guys are huge. I got a picture. They're like a head taller than me, and I'm 6 feet tall. And the colonels and lieutenants and captains assigned as like enlisted personnel because of whatever the political agenda. And we're drinking. I got some crazy stories about those days. I'm not going to bore you guys with those, but maybe at the low cap, Dave, I'll tell you about that. So, came back, after the military, I kind of, missed the rush of jumping out of airplanes. So I started skydiving, and that's where I met my wife. I guess about 20 years ago now. We've been skydiving together for 16 years. I was competing at a reasonably high level at the nationals, and my team won the gold. And the funny thing is, the organization is called USPA, United States Parachute Association. So USPSA, and the personalities are very similar, man. There's a lot of A-class personalities, a lot of people that are training to get better and compete. So competed at the nationals, was a certified judge. Spent about 16 years skydiving. 4,000 jumps. She had almost, I think, 2,000 or 3,000 jumps. Both of us were competing. But then we discovered the sport of practical shooting. We got our pistol permit licenses. I was 43 or 44 and picked up a pistol almost for the very first time. We shot a couple of local matches that were IDPA-like matches, basically, 2 hits on brown and you're good. And then I went to an IDPA match. I got interested. I'm like, well, what else is out there? Like, IDPA, a local match in New York, IDPA. Went there, and I see guys going really fast. To me, back then, in IDPA, right? They shoot things. I'm like, all right, I have to go fast. So I start shooting. And then they start calling out the scores, whatever, 2 down, whatever, 3 down, whatever the points down, I don't remember. And I'm like, what does that mean? And my buddy Sean, if he's watching. He's like, you have to hit the center of the target. He looked at me like I'm like, oh, there's actually scoring involved. Well, what else is there? So then USPSA came up, and I thought USPSA was this crazy sport where people run around with guns and blast the targets. It didn't make sense to me at first. And I'm like, I will never do USPSA. And then a local club, Metamoris, came and joined my friends on the squad and shot it, and I fell in love with it. And I joined USPSA after, I think, my second or third match, I joined USPSA. Didn't really get passionate about training and getting better until maybe 6-7 months later. I won a local match as a B-class shooter, and I'm like, wow, that's good. What else is that? What is the next step? Started looking at different programs, started looking at different coaches out there, and just started dry firing. Following the Anderson program, Stagger's program, reading books, watching videos. Never really took a class with anybody, just from all the material that's available out there. Made A class, took me about maybe 4 or 5 months. Then made master, and then I was happy. Honestly, my goal in the game was to be a master of the game. And when I say a master of the game, I don't mean an M class shooter. I mean knowing the rules, knowing the scoring, knowing the organizational structure. I became an RO right around the same time when I was B class, understanding the rules, like be good at the game, not just at shooting. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So at that point, I'm like, all right, cool. Let's just keep practicing. Let's shoot the nationals. 2018 is when I shot my first nationals. I think I was like 4 or 5 months into doing USPSA, and I was very nervous about doing nationals. And I talked to my wife. I'm like, should I go? It was already cold. I think it was like June time, and I think the nationals were in September back then. And she goes, if you want to do it, just do it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. And I went to the nationals, and I placed like 60% of whoever was the winner. It was Ben Steger. And I'm like, wow, okay, 140, 150 something place. But that lit up the fire. Like, I want to start training. I want to start getting serious about this game. Started practicing. The next year I went to the nationals again, and I placed, I think it was 74% maybe, 44th, I think I was, as a master a year later. Started practicing more, joined the practical shooting training group online, just got a little bit more serious. The following year, I think I placed 25th or 24th. And did I lose you?
You're
guys?
good. You're
Okay.
good. Keep going.
And then I shot a classifier match with my friends in New Jersey. And I've never shot classifiers as classifiers. A lot of people go, I see good shooters, M-class shooters, they go and they really struggle with these things. They want to advance to grandmaster, so they start blasting on these targets and they just don't do well. And then they try to reshoot a classifier. It never goes well. One thing I learned, early on, luckily for me, is like shoot these things as stages. People keep saying that, and it doesn't resonate until it resonates, right? And then shoot them as stages, and then the scores will show up. They will come. So I've always shot those stages, classifiers as stages. So generally, 87, 88, 89%, but never really came close to shooting anything above 95 until this classifier match where I said, I'm just gonna do the, grip it and rip it, 0-0. And boom, immediately I had like 2 hundos and a 96 and a 98. And then I was within a fraction of a percentage of making grandmaster. And then now I want to make grandmaster. Now, I'm going to try to do that. And I think I shot 2 or 3 more matches and made grandmaster. That was a year ago. So I don't know. There was a couple of discussions I think on the Brian Enos forum. Who's the oldest guy to make grandmaster? I don't think I'm the oldest one, but at 47, what 46? I talk to my friends who've been shooting 10, 15 years, and I'm like, well, our eyes are not the same. Like, listen, my eyes are going, but 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day of practice. If you want that goal, it's reachable. You are never not able to do it if you want to. So now a lot of my friends are, we actually have a class coming up with Ben Steger next week. And a lot of my friends from the club are taking it. And I was going to take it. I don't care. He will push me, even though I'm grandmaster. He will push me. I know that, even if it's a fundamentals class. But we had 12 people, told my friends, and I'm like, all right, I'll give up my slot. You guys go ahead and, jump in. So hopefully out of those 12, somebody will be, and I know one guy who I know is working hard. His name is Dennis, and I know he's going to make Grandmaster in carry optics someday. He's working hard. These guys are interested, Anthony, all these guys, they'll get there. So, so now I'm, training for the carry optics nationals. I shot 9 or 10 matches total this year.
Mike, I'm gonna hold you there because I want to get into that a little bit later. So you definitely have the record for the longest intro in the Casual Shooters podcast history, but I like it. It's all good. It's all good info. You actually kind of got into some of my questions later, so we'll rehash a little bit of it.
Sounds good.
And go into it a little bit more detail.
Feel free to stop me. I'm a geek about this stuff, and I have it, like all of us are, I think. I have a tendency to go into too much detail sometimes. I don't take offense if you stop me and be like, hey, mate, let's go this route. So.
The best part about the intro is now Huggy knows, even though he's like 80, he might be a grandmaster one day.
You will be. Don't say maybe. You say to yourself, you will be, and you will be.
There you go, Huggy. You can do it.
See?
Octogenarian. He's just out there getting
I believe
grandmaster.
it. I believe it. I believe in the process, and I know it's going to happen.
All right.
Implication of it.
All right.
I'm going to keep practicing.
Yes. Okay.
We're going to get into the 5 get to know our guest questions.
All right.
All right. So what's your favorite movie?
All right. Does it have to be just one?
Nope.
So when I was a kid, man, I watched The Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that was amazing to me. I was like 13 years old, and I watched that movie. And right after the movie, and in the Soviet Union, those movies were illegal, mind you. We had these underground little video salons where we used to watch these things. Right after the movie, I went to the gym and I started lifting weights, and I barely got home because I was broken, like 13, 14, whatever I was, I don't remember. So Terminator was, as a kid, that was my favorite movie. But as an adult, I would say it has to be The Matrix for me. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Yeah,
great movie.
A great movie, man. Like it was when I was in the military when I saw it. I think it was 99. I think it came out, and that one was an eye-opening kind of a. I don't know why. I don't know. Like it connected with a lot of things that we talk about, and that, I think that's directly translatable into like the red pill, the blue pill thing, kind of a thing. That was my favorite movie by far.
And they're coming out with another one, and I don't remember.
It's going to be as good. I mean, the trilogy was, I don't know, man. As much as I love the first one, the second and the third one just.
The two writers, one of them has written the new one.
Okay.
So hopefully, it's maintained some of that continuity, and I'm hoping it's as good as the original.
The original, yeah. I was disappointed with the third one for sure. Second one was. So.
I have to say they had some great fight scenes. The choreography, the choreography was amazing. Of course, Keanu Reeves, when he gets into,
he's a machine. That guy.
Yeah, when he acts, and especially when he does the fight scenes, he really, really gets into it. So
they trained for a year. They went to I think Thailand or Hong Kong somewhere. They trained for a year for that stuff.
Well, see,
he's actually also directed some of his own. It was Tai Chi Master, I believe. Like he's directed some of his own martial arts films. So,
and he's not bad with a pistol, from what I hear.
No, if you've ever seen him, like he knows what we're talking about. But if you've ever seen him do any 3-gun training with Terran, or as Huggy calls him, Tehran. So shout out to Tehran Boulair, as Huggy calls him.
All right.
Yeah. If he ever wants to come on the show, that's cool too. But that guy, he put in the work.
That's what I was going to ask. It was like, if Keanu Reeves is listening, I'm going to tell you right now, come on the show and join us for a good
100%. He's listening. Definitely.
100%. Yeah. If he doesn't, I'm going to call him tomorrow. I'm going to call him tomorrow. I'll get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? He lives up in New York, and he takes the subway a lot, from what I understand.
That is true.
So here, you want to hear a funny story about skydiving? So Robert De Niro, who I love as an actor and don't like at all as a
politics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His house is next door to our drop zone in New York, Gardner. And when we fly over his house, we'll spit on his house. This probably should not have made the podcast.
Oh, it's going to make the podcast.
100%
It's in.
Yeah, it felt like he was going to come on as a guest.
Love him as an actor.
Yeah.
Like his politics.
Yeah. Agreed.
I agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually like to see Keanu actually Reeves, that is, actually come out to a competition and shoot, and maybe even go to nationals and shoot at nationals. So it'd actually be kind of cool to see.
He's one of the most humblest actors I know. Like I generally don't look up to actors. Keanu, on the other hand, like he's a humble dude. He's a hard worker, and he likes bikes. He's just like a dude, right?
Yeah. He has his own ARC Customs, I believe, or ARC. Yeah. Like him and his buddy. Yeah. You know why it's because he's Canadian.
Is that what it is?
I'm telling you, that's why he's so humble.
I'm actually I have a couple of friends from work who are Canadians. They're super polite. I'm like, come on, let's get a little bit angry about some of the issues that we. I'm like, I'm like, oh man.
We've interviewed Canadian, a couple that we shot with at nationals. Lovely Canadian couple.
Yeah,
very nice people.
Mike is actually shooting on the same squad as them at nationals.
Oh, you're gonna love them.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell them we say hi.
All right.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
they are.
They're fun. They were awesome to actually, hang out with, and even when they were on the podcast, we had a good time with them. So, they have an interesting story. I don't know if you listened to that podcast about how they almost lost their guns, for traveling.
Well, the airport lost their
the airport
misplaced.
The airline.
Misplaced. Yeah, we got some crazy stories about that.
Yeah, that's terrible. But anyway.
Right. So, Mike, what's your favorite book?
So recently, it's almost an American to read book these days, right? Like a lot of people don't read anymore. I used to read as a kid. I used to read a lot, but listening to books is a happy compromise nowadays. So my favorite book by far, I think, has been for the last several years is Murray Rothbard's For a New Liberty. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of Murray Rothbard. He's one of the libertarian cornerstones, I guess. He talks about the relationship between the state and the free human beings, kind of a thing. Touches on some of the values, how human liberties come first, kind of a thing. So libertarian, is what I identify myself, having been a hardcore Republican, and God, I hate to say it, as a Democrat, I guess, when I was younger. You know what they say, right? If you're young and you're not a Democrat, right? How does it go? So, but now I kind of sort of identify myself as a libertarian. So that book has shaped quite a few of my, understandings of the world, or reshaped them rather, while agreeing with how I always felt about communism when I was a kid. Like hating all the things, being a refugee from communism, and believing in the American dream, and hard work and just personal liberty, kind of a thing. But another one that connects to me on the level of the Matrix is The Quantum Thief by Hannu. I can't pronounce his last. He's a Finnish mathematician and physicist. It's a science fiction book, but it's action-packed book, and it talks about post-humanist world where your consciousness can be backed up and you basically never die. But as a result, all the rich people like the Bezos and they are the absolute gods of that universe. They have their backups. They can everything is interconnected. The human brain is indestructible. You can back yourself up. When you die, you don't really die. You go into a quiet mode and you do all the heavy labor. You operate machines as almost as a slave, but then you get reborn after a certain amount of time. But if you're rich, then you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So it's an interesting social book, but also based on he works with AI, so he brings in that knowledge of where this technology is. Scary book in a way, but interesting. And he has like a trilogy of those books. That one being the first one, Quantum Thief.
Wow, interesting. So this is the Huggy special. Who's your favorite superhero?
My wife Pia. She's my favorite superhero, man.
Okay.
Very good.
Many years.
Best and smartest answer we've ever had.
She's in the house right now, and I hope she cannot hear me. I hope you can, because Anyway, but I love her, and she's been my inspiration. I've said it, many times over the years. If I had a quarter of her tenacity, I'll be the world champion. I would be the multi-billionaire. If I only had her, she's a bull, man. Like, she will get things done. There's
That's awesome.
Many years ago, she gave me a little magnet for my fridge. Never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. And it's been my motto for I don't know how long. Like, I see my friends. We just had the match, and one of my good friends, high level guy. He's the best guy in the area probably in carry optics. Great shooter, but sometimes when he had the best stage, like, he just almost is ready to give up. And he's a Marine, Matt Hampel. What's up, Matt?
Okay, yeah, Matt.
Dude, like, you're a fucking Marine. Sorry, you're a Marine. You don't give up. Like, no matter how bad your day is going, think about all the guys that came before you. Like, they died on those hills. They never give up. And this is just a game, and you're gonna give up because you made a mistake, because you may not win the match. You don't give up. You never, ever, ever give up. And she taught me that, and so she is my superhero, man.
And actually, Mike, I was going to ask you later who Pia was, because I saw a video of her on your Instagram page, and I mean, she looks like an old pro. That's very impressive. I was going to ask if it was your wife, because very impressive.
Yeah, she's been. I mean, she joined right after me. She's a B class. She's working towards her A class. She's a CRO. She, both of us took our, a CRO class with George Jones, the RMI. She dry fires every day, man. She will give Nils Jonasson and Ben Steger a run for their money in dry fire.
Nice.
So she's dedicated. She's working hard, and she's struggling a little bit sometimes to connect that dry fire to live performance, live matches. So, but listen, it takes time. All these things take time. She's been shooting. She picked up a gun when she was almost 50 years old, right? 48, 49. So it takes time. We're not 12 anymore. We're not teenagers. And for us to run with a gun, it's almost unnatural. We have a loaded firearm in our hand. Like, we got to be careful. For teenagers and for younger folks, like, they don't have that issue. Like, they just run, and that's why they're good. That's why they have no fear.
Yeah.
But for us, it takes a little bit of time to work over that fear, I think, and just allow ourselves to move as if we can without a firearm. And but yeah, she's very dedicated. She's working hard. She's been shooting 3 years now, I think 3.5 years. Shooting production mostly. I'm trying to get her into carry optics so she can finally see the target clearly.
Yeah, Huggy.
Well, hey, listen, I switched to carry optics this year. I put my glasses on, my prescription glasses on, and I can actually see hits on the target now.
There you go.
I can actually see the target clearly, because in production I gotta see the sights a little bit more. Be kind of working with target focused shooting a little bit more. But it's amazing what you can see with the proper prescription glasses. I didn't realize how bad my vision has gotten over the years.
And I can tell now shooting carry optics when I'm not target focused, because when I am target focused, I see the shots hitting the target.
Yep.
So exactly. If I'm not seeing the shots hit the target, then I know I'm not target focused.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mike, what's your favorite gun and caliber?
So right now, I actually got my gun right here. This is my Shadow 2 that I've been shooting in carry. This is the gun that I shot top 10 at the low cap nationals, and then I converted it recently to a carry optics gun with this easy custom play system. Polason optics on this thing. Love this gun with the breast grips. Somebody convinced me to put these things on. I'm like, nah, that's not going to make a difference. And I'm like, wow, it might make a huge difference. So this is by far my favorite gun. It has a lot of sentimental value. I don't think I'll ever sell it. I did convert it, but I also picked up a Colt 1911 competition model from the prize table at the Nationals. So it's tough. Like,
nice.
That thing is beautiful, man. And I like single stack. As a kid, I always wanted to have a 1911, and so I don't want to make single stack great again or anything like that, because it's already great, but I love single stack 1911s. But right now, this is my favorite gun, and 9mm is the caliber.
Okay. All right. And kind of tag along with that, there are 3 divisions in USPSA not doing very well.
Yeah.
But that is the one division of the 3 that I would like for them to always support and keep going. I mean, it's like the OG,
It's the legacy. I mean, that's what the whole has been founded on. Like, I mind this now. I don't care what people say. Single stack is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Revolver? We can talk about that.
All right. Now, Mike, my fifth question was actually going to be kind of funny. I was going to ask if you knew your name was Russian, and there's a lot of Russians using your name on Facebook. And I was going to ask if you had a LifeLock membership.
Probably should get that. But I have a gun, though. Is that good enough?
But now
Probably
that you say you're actually from the Soviet Union, where did you grow up?
So I was born and raised in a city called Samara, or Kuybushев was the old Soviet name. It's the third biggest city in Russia. So you have Moscow, you have Leningrad, and then you have Samara or Kuybushев. And that was actually the second capital during World War II. When the Germans came close to Moscow, they evacuated the government and they placed it into my city. Rich legacy, a lot of history. I mean, Russia's 1,000 years old, and the Christian. Yeah, as a Christian, Russia has been at least 1,000 years. So, one of the major cities, but not a well-known one. But it's right in the heartland of the actual Russian Republic. So, Soviet Union is the Russia itself, and then all the neighboring republics,
right?
Which now their own countries, independent countries. But Russia is huge, and I was from the center of it.
Okay. Now, all right, we're going to do something we don't normally get into. We're going to get into a little bit of communism real quick.
Let's do it. I love it.
When
I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is an opportunity for us to learn. So you grew up in the Soviet Union. What was it like going to school? Like what did they teach you? Like what was the history they taught you? I'm very curious.
I got a good story. So when I was in basic training, of course, I have my nameplate right on my chest, Shatalov, and one of my drill instructors was a special forces dude, and he had the Tower of Death. You guys know what that is, like the special forces, Ranger, Airborne, medals. Like he wore his A-class uniforms once and was sitting in the bay, or all the recruits, and he walks by, and the entire class goes, "Wow!" Short dude, very stocky, special forces guy, sergeant first class, and one day he calls me over. He goes, "Come here." So I come up, parade rest. I'm towering over him, and he goes, "Do you know what this means?" He points at his shoulder. Special. I'm like, "Yes, there's one. It's called the Tower of Death." He goes, "That's good. Do you know that I was trained to kill you?" I'm like, I look him straight in the eye. I go, and he goes, "Are you Russian?" I'm like, "Yes, I am. I was born and raised in Russia." He goes, "Do you know that I was trained to kill you?" I look him straight in the eye. I go, "Do you know that I was in high school? I was trained to kill you?" And he just starts laughing. He just started laughing. He almost shook my hand. He loved the answer so much. But listen, we had military training from I think 7th grade. We started shooting firearms. We had a range under our high school. Every high school had this. This was standard setup. Boys started shooting rifles, 22 caliber rifles, at part of their military training. There was a weekly class starting I think from the 6th or the 7th grade. When you enter, I think 9th grade, they take you to the military training facilities where you start shooting AKs. They teach you. If you remember, did you guys have it in the Marine Corps? Did you have the handbook of all the critical stuff like that? Yes. You need to know from first aid, and so we had that as kids.
Wow.
I knew I could identify an American tank. I could identify a Russian tank. I could identify a mine. They taught us how to work with mines as kids, man. As kids.
Wow.
Right. Shooting 22 long rifle was basically a competition where I kind of sort of started, getting familiar with firearms. So basically, for the last 2 years of your high school years, we didn't have 12 grade. We had 10 grades. So 9 and 10 is when you were basically being schooled. They were hoping that you wouldn't go to college or to a trade school. They were hoping that you would join the military and become a soldier. So they were teaching you, getting you ready so that when you do go to military, like you already trained. We actually had a military camp at the end of the 10th grade. It was a 3-week long, basically basic training, like military camp. They taught you karate. They taught you how to shoot guns. They did but for kids, man, that was like so cool. Like you're playing soldiers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I got to be honest. This is the one time I'm gonna say here. This is the one time Leo agrees with Russia. That is genius.
It is.
I don't know why they don't do that here, because that is man. Listen, they got one thing right, and it was that.
Well, I will have to say this. I went to military school from 9th grade up to my senior year in high school. So It was great. Back when I went to military school, they were still hazing and everything like that. It was very interesting what you said, because we had a rifle team, an actual rifle team. So we shot 22 long rifles. But the military school I went to was an Air Force military school. So we learned about every plane out there.
That's the same as 4-H.
Yeah. So we learned about every plane. We actually had a flight simulator, an F4 Phantom flight simulator.
And could you fit in the simulator?
At that time, I could.
Okay.
but you actually got your private pilot's license at the age of 15.
Yeah.
Back then. So
amazing.
Right. But now it's not like that anymore, because it's like, you got to be the gentler, kindler. So now the military school I went to is now like a country club.
Yeah.
So it's sad, but I agree with you, and I agree with Leo. Yeah, they had something right.
I mean, that's what the 4-H and the FFA was back in the day.
Yeah.
And you can't find a school now that has any of those programs.
You still like there's the Virginia Military Academy. They still have that. So I mean, but yeah, it's gentler, softer. But is it doing these kids any favors though? Like when they grow up,
no.
they go into the real world.
No,
I don't think so.
See, and that's what
that's my academy right there for when my kids. This is their college.
Mike, yeah. I would say this, like the 3-week basic training you were talking about. It's still, for those individuals who don't compete in sports, it still instills a type of teamwork.
Yes.
So I think that does translate later. Like, I didn't do as much sports before I went into the Marine Corps. And what I noticed was, even at 18 years old, those who had, like I did some football, I did some wrestling, but I didn't do it consistently year in, year out. And I noticed those that did worked better as a group and had better social skills with those individuals, whereas I did not.
Well, I think you're 100% right. Like what I missed the most about the military days, and that was many years ago, 2 decades ago, is the camaraderie. There was no racism that I saw. Our first sergeant was a black dude who was the greenest guy I've ever seen. He was so fair and so tough that he was my hero back then. My best friend would wake me up in the middle of the night to stand, post whatever, 3 o'clock. He was afraid that I was going to stab him with the bayonet, but so he keep come on, Shatalov. But those are the memories that I have from those days, and we worked together for 4 years. Like we knew each other. We just shot a match, Area 8, and we had a gentleman on our squad, and the RO, we're walking the stages. The RO goes 1 minute, and me as an airborne guy, that was a command in the plane. 1 minute. So I go 30 seconds, and Jim, this big dude, goes, stand by. I'm like, wow, another airborne guy, and another one recognized it. So then we start talking. I'm like, Jim, what do you? He goes, do you miss those days, Mike? I'm like, yeah, man, I do. I miss. He goes, yeah, I miss the camaraderie. I miss that, that teamwork that you can, rely on. So
that makes me feel good, because that's what we do when our kid has to get out of the tub. We give him a countdown. We're like 5 minutes. He's like 5 minutes. We're like 1 minute. He's like 1 minute. Okay.
Stand by.
And he puts his finger up. He's like 1 minute. I'm like,
but you gotta slap the butt of the guy in front of you though.
That's right.
I mean, he's 5, so he doesn't. He's like, oh, good game, coach.
I want to get back to the Soviet Union.
Let's do it.
So that's very interesting. I appreciate you sharing that. Now, one of the things, the first person I ever voted for president was Ronald Reagan in 1984. Now, I grew up in that time where it was the Cold War. There was a lot of talks about, stuff going on over there and whatnot. But my question is, I've always heard about food shortages. Or was that correct?
Yeah, that was correct. And I experienced this firsthand. We had coupons for core products, bread, butter, sausage, and you would get a limited amount of that for a family. So at the beginning of the month, the stores would get stocked up, and you go and you stand, and the line would stretch for blocks. So as a kid, I would go, buy bread. Bread was more or less sometimes like it was okay, but butter and like butter and meat products, sausage and stuff like that, you would get a coupon per family. I think we got like a half a kilo per person per month.
Wow.
So standing in line, hoping to get, and people are angry. I mean, listen, the whole country was hungry in the 90s, in the late 80s and early 90s. People getting into fights over food. I mean, those videos that you see online, probably from those days, I saw it with my own eyes, man. That was real.
Wow. Okay. You can never tell what's real and what isn't. So
Yep.
that's wild. And that's only a pound a person. That's crazy.
Yeah. Trust. Oh, pound of butter. Sausage, I think, were maybe 2 kilos. I don't remember the meat products. But I mean, it's been
pound of butter. What is this, France?
A lot of butter, man.
Hey, those are hard to make.
What do they call a quarter pounder with cheese in France?
A Royale with cheese.
You got it.
Check out the big brain on the rad.
Yeah.
Great reference, by the way.
Uh-huh. Good movie.
Yeah. You can't try it. You can't pull any movie stuff over with Leo.
Yeah.
Dude, my best buddy in the military, we used to talk movie lines. So test me.
Love it.
There you go. Leo's your guy.
I'm gonna get loose. I'm ready. I'll be thinking of him as he's asking you questions.
All right.
What years were you in the military, Mike?
95, I think I signed up. I was in delayed entry program for a little while because I was going to college at the time.
Okay.
And they gave me options, and they said, "Do you want to join as an infantry guy, or do you want to join as a psychology nurse for 8 years?" I'm like, let me just. What about other options? Can I go airborne? Because I saw the commercial with the Maroon Berets. I'm like, I want to do that. They're like, well, you can sign up for that, but if you know how recruiters are, sign up now. You get that stuff later. Don't worry. They promise you things.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, no. I kind of sort of want to, make sure that it's in the contract. So they signed me up for a delayed entry program, and I think September of '95 is when I actually joined the service. Then basic training, AIT was right after the Christmas break, and then Fort Benning jump school. So 95 through 90, I think late of 99 is when I got out of service. And then I did, I think 2 years in the New York National Guard. And then I got out of the National Guard.
So is that where you're at? You're in New York?
Yeah. At the time, we came to Brooklyn or Manhattan, like all the refugees generally do. So we settled. And listen, my family has been here since 1917. So it was a slow process of getting from the Russian Revolution. They ran away from the communists back then. We ran away from the communists in '92.
That was the smart branch. They were like, we'll set up and we'll just bring you in slowly.
Yeah.
I like it.
So just so you know, I graduated airborne school April 1st, 1988. Just saying.
Wow. All right. Well, you paved the way.
I was 4 in 88.
Were you guys actually using the towers? Because they did not allow us to use the towers.
We did.
All right. Because
the mighty Ungawa.
Yeah. They had some concerns, and I don't think we ever used those. At least I know I never used the towers, but I don't think they use them anymore. Do they?
Well, I mean, then we did. Yeah.
They're still up, but I don't think they use them anymore for safety reasons.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You get up there and you're just hanging there. You're dangling.
You got to release yourself, right?
250 feet. No, they disconnect you from the bottom.
Oh, do they? I thought you detach the safety, and then they release you.
No, they were like, they would talk to you through a megaphone, and you'd be dangling, and then next thing you know, you're drifting.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, I actually do remember somebody talking on the megaphone when we were standing there. I think we used them, but not the whole class used them. So I think one tower was shut down, and I think, man, my memory is fading. But I know
I could see if the wind's blowing the wrong way, you'd be eating steel. That wouldn't be a good thing.
No,
that's what makes you hard.
We did have one guy in the Army. I was in the Marines when I went through, but I remember one guy. I was either in the air or I had just landed and disconnected everything. We had one guy who was running with the wind, outrunning a Jeep.
Oh, Jesus.
And they're like screaming at him through the megaphone. Man, I don't know what all he broke, but he looked like Steve Austin, just end over end over end over end.
I would just drop and let it drag me.
I was like, do I want to do this again?
I think he might be dead.
Yeah.
What is it? Feet together, knees together?
My God.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
Yeah, I watched a documentary about airborne, and first lieutenant slammed into the side of a Humvee. I was like, I think she died. And they were like, all you could hear is the instructor screaming, feet together, knees together. And she hits the side of the Humvee, and she's like, I'm good.
I'm
good.
Well, I've seen crazy stuff in my skydiving days, man. People hitting trucks, people hitting ground, people hitting buildings. And some of them didn't walk away, but some from impacts that are, he's dead. His dude is dead. Oh, he gets up. Yeah, I'm good. Shakes himself off. Gets up next flight.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my own little interesting experience at Camp Dawson, but that's another story for another time. Do you know, trivia question, do you know where the United States Parachute Association headquarters is located?
I want to say they're in Virginia now. Actually, my buddy, Al Barstow, is running for, I think he's running for president now. He was an area director.
20 minutes that way.
My house?
From me.
Oh.
Really?
right here in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
I actually went in there when I'm talking like, hey, and I thought it was like military.
Yeah. They have a museum now, which is one of the things I think USPSA needs to. That's missing.
Yeah.
The greats that came before us and have some kind of a, recognition for the sport. They have it. They established about 10 years ago, I think.
I feel that would require like a headquarters building and everything else.
Maybe within the headquarters building, have something that will draw maybe people to, to the facilities. If you're in the area, you have a small museum with like photographs.
Yeah, you just put Casual Shooter Podcast on the front. And people are like, oh, that's going to be great. We got to go in there and see what that's about.
There you go.
Have a TV with the reruns running 24.
Yeah.
There you go. I like
They're going to be like, oh, those guys are handsome. They'll probably talk about some interesting stuff.
Or they're
I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Why not?
I'm an idea man. Oh, golly.
So you mentioned earlier that you hunt. What do you hunt with?
I've been hunting with an old Mosin Nagant, which is what my grandfather's grandfather carried into battle probably. That rifle is 70 years old.
Wow.
1946 it was made. I have a red dot on that thing, and I can shoot a deer in the head from at 100 yards. But I think that's a risky shot, so I haven't taken that. So it's mostly been, But recently, not recently, 3 years ago, she got me a Remington 700. So that's been my go-to during the season. With the little primary arms, first focal point, plain scope, basic setup, man. Nothing fancy.
Yeah, it's a hunting rifle. Yeah,
Yeah, primary makes good optic though.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be fancy.
I was hoping it'd be like, we do it the Russian way. I just go out with knife.
I jumped on the deer once and I slit his throat.
I jumped on him from tree and slit his throat.
It's the sword. It's a sword behind him above the door.
I was really hoping he's like, I'd behead them.
No, first we'll drink vodka. And then with
Yeah.
I love the accent. That is fantastic.
It's authentic, right?
It is. It is. Best accent I've ever heard.
Yeah. Hey, man. It's right here.
No, pay him. Pay
that man his money.
Yeah. Oh, Rounders.
You beat me fair and square.
Straight up.
Oh, that was
Rounders.
Matt Nash's favorite movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
Wasn't it Rounders?
Yeah. Great. I used to play poker for a few years, made some money with it too. So I love that movie, man. That's probably my second favorite movie.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. With his Oreos.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep. Check.
Always
Cheat me all night.
It looks like Rounders is going to have to move to the top of my list.
Dude, if you haven't seen it,
it's very quotable.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, Malkovich does a good job.
He has some great actors in there too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh God, well, I'll think of his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mike, exactly how did you? I know you said you went to a couple of pistol matches, and then the USPSA thing was, weird initially. But how exactly did you stumble? Or how do you go from competing at a high level in parachuting to pistol competition?
Wow. I don't know. It just happened. It just happened. I competed at a pretty dedicated level. 16 jumps a day with my team was not unusual.
Wow.
10 jumps a day was the norm, and you skydive the whole weekend. So I would leave work on Friday night, camp out on the drop zone, and we just jump our ass off. And then we hang out. This is what I miss the most about skydiving, the social aspect of it. When you're done jumping for the day and now you're hanging out by the fire, you're drinking beers, you're talking about your skydiving days, you're watching videos. I wish USPSA had that, man. Like, imagine us hanging out by the fire right now, drinking beers and stuff. How cool would that be?
Just hitting go on the microphone.
Yeah,
God, that'd be great.
So, but that kind of burns you out a little bit. 16 years of skydiving, 10 years of competition with the team, and going to the nationals. That stuff is not expensive. It's not expensive. It's not cheap. The travel. A skydiving rig can cost you anywhere between back in the day it was $3,000. Now it's probably $6,000 or $7,000. You got 2 canopies in there. You got the automatic activation device. You got pilot chutes. You got all this stuff. All the options, it's like a high-end open gun, if not more expensive. And that's one rig. And I need 2 of them if I'm a competitor, because we go back to back. We'll land, somebody else packs our parachute, we jump right on the next plane, we'll go up to 10,000 feet, we jump again on 14,000 feet. It wears you out a little bit, you lose the fun aspect of skydiving, which is what it was originally. So I kind of slowed down the last year. And then, and that's when I discovered, practical shooting, and that was fun. And that reignited the fire, that reignited the competitive aspect of it, and just hanging out with friends and getting better at things.
So I just like that's your safest hobby, is shooting.
It's by far the safest. Probably.
Yeah. Like if you think about how many times you jumped out of a plane, that's how many times you've almost died.
I had some close calls, man.
Yeah.
Probably in the parallel universe, there's probably a couple of dead Mike Shatalovs out
just
there.
Sitting there, just
paralyzed from the neck down, probably, or just
man.
So
that's
Mike,
worse than death.
Here's my question: what do you think about the squirrel suits now? Do you like those? Or
I have one hanging right here in the closet right now. I have about 200 jumps with the squirrel suits.
And you didn't wear it for the podcast? I'm disappointed. We'll
do the second part now. We'll take a break. I'll go put the suit on.
Boom.
I'll wear a tie with it too. But I love squirrel suits, man. Like, I actually have a video somewhere on YouTube, I think, where I jump out 5 miles away from the drop zone. I'm the last guy out of the plane. From 14,000 feet down to 4,000 feet was where I opened my parachute. I glided 5.5 miles. It's a GPS recorded with the glide, with the whole thing. Wow. It's a lot of fun, and you truly feel like you're flying. And when skydivers love to jump on cloudy days, which FAA forbids you from going through the clouds, right? With those pilots too, but flying around the cloud in the wingsuit, you actually create the sensation of speed and movement forward rather than just falling straight down. And that's not even like some of my friends do base jumping with those wingsuits. You've probably seen those videos, and I know quite a few of those guys in the Red Bull team. They fly through the mountains. They fly 10 feet off the ground at 100 miles.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
That makes me cringe, man, because I know how, like, you literally drop your arm a little bit and you will drop 10 feet and you will die. The skill set, it takes brass balls to sell real estate.
I mean, look, I watch those videos and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So now here's my question. Because after now talking to you about parachuting and everything, I'm kind of like, did I see you in that movie Drop Zone?
No, but you probably saw one of my friends, Greg Windmiller. He's a world champion skydiver. He's actually a army skydiver. He was so just like we have the Army marksmanship unit.
Yeah.
Army has a skydiving team, the Golden Knights. They have the Black Knights and the Golden Knights. And the Golden Knights, I think, was it the Black Knights? I think the Golden Knights actually jumped with the presidents. So like the Bush jumps, all those things. My buddy jumped with Bush. He was the guy, and I think he was in Drop Zone actually. Greg Windmiller was definitely in the Transformers movie when they're jumping through the.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he was on the plane. You can actually see his face, and he was so proud. Mike, look at my face. That's me right there. And I'm like, yeah, Greg, good for you, man.
When they were flying, when they were actually flying through, or I should say, sailing through Chicago, because I remember I had some friends up in Chicago that sat there and they hand out pamphlets and emails to everybody to let them know that they're going to be shooting this, and that they were going to see people flying past their window and not to freak out.
And funny, a lot of people don't believe it, but that's actual footage. Like, that's actually them guys. I think it was the Rebel Air Force team flying through It was probably, was it Jeffro? It was probably Jeffro, one of the guys, one of my good friends was doing that jump.
That's cool.
I like living too much, man.
I do too. That's why I'm not doing it anymore.
He's used up 8
kids.
lives.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mike, I see you're a member of Team Hold My Beer with Matt Hempel.
That's right.
Now, the three of us, we all have our nicknames. What's your nickname in Team Hold My Beer?
They call me the coach, which I didn't know they did, but they call me the coach. And I'm not the oldest dude on the team. Ted is, we call him, I think he just turned 55. So his son, Ryan, is trying to register him as senior. I'm like, no, you can call him senior, but you're not registering him as senior. And Ted is one of the greatest guys I know. And so I don't know why they call me the coach. Well, I think I do because I keep coaching these guys. Because listen, Matt Hempel is a grandmaster in carry optics, tremendous shooter.
He's a good shooter.
Jason,
really good.
These guys. But sometimes they, sometimes they have a difficult stage and they start, So I try to tell them, hey, don't think about this. Visualize a good stage. Visualize that if you just shot a good stage, move on to the next one. Explain to them the scoring system. How to determine where you stand in the match based on your performance on this last stage. How many points have you lost, or how many points have you gained based on the difference in the hit factor? Which is one of the nobody likes math, but sometimes it helps to know some of these things. I know. I bet you a lot of the high level guys, they track their scores and they know exactly that. And I'm just practicing that. So I'm sharing my knowledge with these guys. And it's been a habit of mine to share that knowledge with them. And then lately, then Wesley, I think, came up with the name. He goes, the coach. What would the coach do? I'm like, all right, I guess I'm the coach.
So you're kind of like their strategist and middle management coach.
Yeah, I would rather be the best shooter on the team, but yes, I guess I am. But these guys have been inspiring me from day. Like I met these guys, I don't know, 3 years ago, I think, 4 years ago. And Chris was the grandmaster in Revolver, and I've never seen a grandmaster in my life. I'm like, dude, you're a grandmaster. He's like, he's looking at who's this guy? And then we started shooting together, and they've been getting better over time. They made master, they made grandmaster. So we're pushing each other to be better. When I see these guys shoot well and they kick my ass, I'm like, well, I guess I got to go back to the shed and dry fire today, which is what I'm going to do after we hang up. I'm going to go and I'm going to dry fire after this match. Hempel kicked all of our asses again. Congratulations, Hempel. But if I didn't have, if I didn't have an FTSA and forgot a target and got a mic, and only if I shot a little bit more accurately, maybe.
Right. Yeah, I saw that you said you had your D class mic / FTSA.
Yeah, I was ready to turn into the GM. I don't deserve this because it just happened to me at area 8. I forgot a target. How do we forget a target? I know how now because I analyzed it, and the same thing happened at this match. I'm like, man, I don't deserve to be, to have this G on my card. Take it away from me. Gotta visualize things, man. Gotta program it.
Which stage did you forget the target on? Because I did the same.
Which one at area 8?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was all the way up the hill on the left hand side. The one where you're starting on the low target and then you go up. There's a tuxedo 2 steel, I think, and an open target. Then you transition.
Oh yeah.
A stack on the left, right? And there was a little hidden target before you transition to the other 2 steel, right? Remember that one? So
yes.
Did not even program that little hidden target, and on the video, I just walk right past it. I don't see it, and then one of the arrows goes, "Hey, Mike," and I'm like, "What?" He points to the target. I'm like, "Ah."
I think you and I missed the exact same target.
Did we really?
Yep. But I did program mine in. So for whatever, I know what happened with me though. For some weird reason, I was missing one of the steel at the beginning. I was calling it good. So like I even left position and I'm like, why is it still standing? So I stopped short of where I was supposed to go to hit it. Then I started back with my stage plan and just transitioned past that one on the right.
Yeah.
And Logan tapped me on the shoulder and pointed at it and said, "Hey, Dave." I'm like, well, there you go.
My buddy Chris forgot a target. So that stage and the one on the right at the top of the hill. Remember that hard transition to the right at the end?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
This guy's a grandmaster. He forgot that target. A lot of people forgot targets. I mean, but that to me also not just to take away something from the match to work on, but also the quality of the match. I really enjoyed that match. I think these guys did a tremendous job. I enjoyed shooting those stages. They were very challenging and humbling at the same time. So,
yeah, nothing crazy, just very technical. Yeah.
Yeah, I told Keanu, I said that Area 8 was actually really good, and that those are some good stages that they had designed. So even though I didn't place in the top 200 or whatever, how many of
keep going.
Top 500.
Keep going.
Top 500.
570. You did beat me though. You did beat me. So
you did beat a couple people that got disqualified. Yeah, it's true.
That's right. I didn't get DQ'd, so I was like, "That's right."
You didn't listen. You didn't finish last.
That's right.
Ish.
Ish. You know what? And I was disappointed because I didn't get any appetizers either, because I was like looking forward to that.
I don't think I would have used that match as a way to get appetizers.
Yeah. Did you guys shoot on Saturday or on Sunday?
I shot it Friday.
Oh, you shot the stat. Okay.
Oh, you shot Sunday?
No, I shot Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday was raining, right? And Saturday was just so bad. The heat was just killing me. My brain was fried. And you guys got us that and rain too, right, Chris?
Yeah, it was misting in the morning. I shot Sunday, so it was misting in the morning, and then it was just humid as all get out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I was drinking so much water trying to, keep fluids in, but it was just
that hit me, man. I feel my brain getting sluggish.
Yeah.
Got to keep drinking water and Gatorades and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I tell you, but then I could only drink so much water, and my stomach was getting sluggish because I felt like I drank too much water. So
there's a thing I've been using, the liquid IV. It's kind of like a Pedialyte mix.
Yeah, it's called Hoist.
Yeah, but they call it the hydration multiplier. So instead of drinking 3 bottles, you drink 1 bottle, and it gives you the same kind of electrolytes, all the good stuff. Not too sugary, not too sweet, but. So I start mixing those things in.
No, well, I know I've learned my lesson from that one. So from now on, I will be taking something besides just water.
Beer helps, but
Yeah.
Afterwards. They're getting real persnickety about the rules.
Yeah, I know.
You can't drink beer and shoot things.
I was going to say there's a great pizza place that we could go to afterwards and do that.
That is true. They have beer there.
Yes.
Well, that's what I miss. Like, listen, we're done shooting. We're in the parking lot. We're hanging out by the trucks. A lot of clubs actually are okay with that. Drinking a beer after shooting is done. You're not handling firearms anymore. So.
Right.
Yeah.
It just all depends on the range rules.
Yes.
Yeah, pizza and beer. That's a good combination.
Yes.
So, Mike, how long after you started shooting USPSA did you become an RO?
I want to say the following year, maybe not a full year in even. I really my goal was to be a master of the game, and not just a master class shooter, but like understanding the rules, knowing the rules, and to give back to. Like, I really admire these guys that work, these matches. It's like, listen, here I am shooting this for a day, and I'm wasted, and these guys are there for 3 or 4 days in the same conditions, and they got to stay sharp, just as sharp as the competitors. They got to score targets. They got to make the right calls. They got to keep everybody safe. So, like, I wanted to be an RO. I wanted to help out a little bit. And then George Jones was my instructor. That guy's a chief warrant officer, man. Retired from the Army. One of the most professional guys I know. He's taught me a lot. So when an opportunity came to take the CRO class, I did that. And now he's telling me I should become an range master. I'm like, no, that's way too much dedication. Not ready for that.
That would be a lot.
It's a lot of work. These guys are. Without these guys, there would not be a sport, right?
Right.
Without the rules.
Right. Now, so what did you think of the process of becoming an RO and a CRO, and how do you think that helped you with your shooting?
Well, understanding the rules, I think, is critical for anybody. It's like, if you come to play a basketball game at a local court, or play a hockey game or a football game, like, you need to know these rules, right? I think Brian Connolly, he has a podcast now, right? The Hunter's HD Goal, which is a tremendous podcast, also asks these tough questions. And he was, I think, a football coach, and he needed to know these rules. Either as a shooter, as a competitor, when a call is incorrect. When you can question a call, when you can, what's the procedure. the scoring system, the equipment, like all these things that I would not know these things as a, first year shooter. How far is my equipment from my belt? All these things. A lot of times you have this kind of, the range lawyering thing happens, and people, I think it should be this, and I think it should be. I'm a CRO, and I don't know what it should be. Let me consult the rule book. And so, I wish we had printed rule books again. Well, Mark Evans, who's now a range master, taught me this. We were talking about, I don't know if you remember, they changed the rules a couple of years ago where, wall outside versus wall inside, and how to handle, contact with the wall or gaining support and stability. And it was just a recent change, and I just implemented like a month ago. And I questioned him on a call, and he just opens the rule book on the right page. He lays it on the table for me. He goes, Mike, and he just points. He did not spend time arguing or anything like that. I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, I learned something. Thank you. But all those things help you across your journey to become, a better shooter. So that's why I wanted to understand the game and be in that road.
And has it done what you were hoping it would do?
I challenged the range master's a CRO's call once on the target, and the range master gave me a reshoot, and the reshoot went worse than the mic that I would have gotten on that call. So
it sucks because that's usually what happens.
Yeah,
has it helped?
At least in my experience, every reshoot I've ever done, except one at Nationals, that was the only time I did better. But yeah, every other time.
Guys frowned upon me. Yes.
Yeah, 2 years ago at Virginia State match, very first stage I shot, the steel did not fall, but my time was good. All my hits were good. Everything was awesome. So I won calibration. I got a reshoot, and then I had 2 targets that I forgot to shoot. So I had 4 failure to shoot at and 4 mics. So it was horrible.
My FTSA at this last match this weekend came on a reshoot because the steel was not activated properly. So, oh my God, Jesus.
There you go.
Reshoot gods are never kind to us. Very occasionally they smile upon us, but not frequently.
So I do see, as we talked earlier, that you are shooting Carry Optics National, and you're shooting with Lisa and Mike Mahoney, by the way. Those are the Canadians. Yep.
I'll say hello.
Very nice people. What are your thoughts on all of the shooters there for Carry Optics Nationals? High-level shooters.
High-level shooters. I think it's the most stacked field I've ever seen in my time. Anyway, I think Carry Optics is a tremendous division. I remember when they made it as a Carry Optics 10 and then moved to 141 millimeter magazines. It's a tremendous field. It's the blend between the open and the production, and it allows people to participate at a it's easier to shoot. It's easier to shoot, but it also requires you to be faster because it's easier to shoot, right? And it seems like all the high-level shooters are, piling in. And listen, Max Michel, the greatest of all time, he's been holding it for 5 years now since it was a provision.
Yeah, 5-time champ.
Yeah, and so now Mason Lane is challenging him, and he almost beat him at Mid-Atlantic second? No, was it Area 8 or Area 7?
It was one of the
Area 7.
Yeah, I think it was Area 7.
Yeah, it wasn't 8 because he wasn't there.
It was Area 7.
Yeah.
You're right.
Area 7. Yep.
Because that's where SIG is headquartered, up in Area 7.
Yeah. And people are breathing down his neck, which I think is only going to make him stronger. I think he's going to that guy is a robot, But nobody's unbeatable. And I think Mason is a tremendous shooter. I respect this guy's opinions a lot. I've spoken to him at Area 8 as well. He's very intellectual. He's only been shooting like 8 or 9 years, I think. So he still has a lot of time ahead of him. And he's breathing down Max Michel. And then Nils Johnson, all the top level guys are, shooting that, it's going to be tremendous to see how I can't even make a prediction, but
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, you've got on the super squad, you have 5 GMs that could potentially be in the top 5. And then that's on the super squad, and none of them are the names we've mentioned.
But did you notice how the super squad is not the real super squad now?
Yes. That's what I was getting at.
Me and the guys were just talking about that.
Yeah, squad 203 is a super squad. But on squad 109, that's where you have Mason, Nils, Max, JJ. Yeah, that's
I wonder, and I wonder because Mason was squatted with Kelly, right?
Yep.
On that squad. And Mason
Correct.
was not on the super squad. But I wonder if when Max saw how close Mason was to him at Area 7, maybe he moved, because you're not required to squat on the super squad, right? You just got to earn the spot if you wanted to be on it. So Max is like, well, maybe, let me just see, maybe just let me shoot with this guy. And so he moved himself to that squad, and maybe with him, Nils came and a couple other names came. So that's how that regular squad has become the super. I wonder if that's.
It is interesting because we have a couple of the shooters we've talked to have said that they prefer not to shoot on the super squad, just because they're like it's too much like everyone is so high pressure that they're like then it's not fun and it's not relaxed, so it makes it more difficult to shoot. So it's interesting that has happened with the super squad.
I think
the younger shooters.
Yeah. I think it happens sometimes, especially with the younger shooters, especially with the first-time super squatters. They look up to these guys, right? They've seen this guy shoot, and now they're at their level, and now they're competing directly with them. So there's a lot of pressure. But here's the thing: you will never experience that pressure until you experience that pressure. You cannot really train for that pressure. So it was a tremendous opportunity for some of these younger guys to be on the super squad. And listen, yes, it got to them, yes, it crushed them, but they can take it and they can get better afterwards. I don't know if you guys know. I don't know if I will be on the super squad next year in production, but I think the way they pick people is from the top 12. There's a good chance that I'm going to be on the super squad next year. So I'll be shooting with these guys who are, I looked up to and I, watched all the videos. Will the pressure get to me? Probably will, but I won't know until I'm there. So if it ever happens, we'll see.
If it does, we're gonna have to talk to you when it's over.
Let's do it. I'll be happy to.
This is definitely, I think, of any nationals in the recent past, this is by far going to be the greatest showdown in quite a while.
Yeah.
That's going to be amazing.
How many grandmasters do they have total? Are you looking at this at the?
I have it up. Grandmasters, as in just overall.
In carry optics specifically. They do a match breakdown, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not. Let me go back.
I look, probably 40. I mean, that's the biggest field.
It's practisescore.com.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew it.
I had to. I haven't done it in a while. You haven't been here, man.
I know. So I was like, damn it. Thought I had it.
All right.
How long have you guys been hanging out together before the podcast?
Well, Huggy and I I've known Huggy, like me, the longest. I think Dave and Huggy have known each other longer than Huggy and I have known each other. But of the three of us, I've known Huggy the longest of the three of us. For me. So that doesn't make any sense.
That made no sense.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll put it in numerical. I'll put it I'll put it in numerical terms. Dave and I have known each other for 18 years.
There you go.
All right. Yeah.
And Leo and I have known each other for 17, I think it is.
Yes.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, we actually we all work together for the same
strip club. The way you said that, we all work together.
Well, we work together, but we're in different stations.
Yeah,
we work in the same department, but we're not. We don't work in the same building.
Correct.
Okay.
So there are 44 grandmasters in carry optics.
That's a bunch.
Wow, a lot.
That's a lot. I'm not even asking about masters because everybody's a master these days in carry optics.
71.
71. That's huge, man.
Yeah. So between carry optics and PCC, there are looks like 434 shooters, 294 of which are all carry optics.
Well, they better have the banquet, set up, man. We don't want to run out of food. We're going to be hungry.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of people.
I respect PCC shooters. They're smart. They bring in rifles to a pistol match. That's
genius.
Next level thinking.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's good.
Until next time.
Don't be a little bitch. Yeah.